Right, let's go to our political editor, Theo Usherwood, who's got a story about a controversial newly elected member of Labour's National Executive Committee has been suspended on the eve of conference. Her name is Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi. She and I have a bit of form. I remember interviewing her, I think, back in 2018. Should we say it didn't go well? I don't know if you remember that, Theo.
Remember that. Good evening. Now, just to give you the background, 3 weeks ago, Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi was elected to the National Executive Committee of the Labour Party. For those who might be thinking, well, what's that? It's the body that effectively runs the Labour Party, and it's more democratic than perhaps the Conservative Party's internal structures, in that it will take people elected from the trade union movement, from particular blocks within the Labour Party, as well as, of course, of MPs and just ordinary members. And Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi successfully secured a seat on this National Executive Committee after galvanising the votes from the left of the party, particularly people who felt aggrieved at the way that Jeremy Corbyn had been expelled from the parliamentary party, people who supported, and indeed Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi supported Chris Williamson, the former MP for Derby North, who was kicked out of the Labour Party as well. She was elected, she'd been in place for 3 weeks, and over that time there'd been a lot of consternation, particularly amongst Jewish groups, the fact that she'd managed to make it all the way to the ruling body of the Labour Party. This is somebody who had previously claimed that there had been false allegations of anti-Semitism within the Labour Party in order to hurt the party whilst Jeremy Corbyn was leader. Fast forward to today, well, actually yesterday, and we, along with a couple of other people, obtained, well, there were two videos. The first video was Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi, and this happened, Ian, after her election to the NEC, saying that in her opinion, the allegations of anti-Semitism had been blown out of all proportion. But more controversially, she also, in a podcast called Palestine Deep Dive, claimed that there had been Holocaust deniers on the right of the party who had been, in effect, let off or ignored or not brought to book because of the faction that they were part of, that they weren't from the left. Now, I spoke to John Mann, who is, of course, Lord Mann now, the government's independent advisor on anti-Semitism, SAR on anti-Semitism, and he was he said that he basically, and he was in touch with the leader of the opposition's office, and he was in touch with Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi to say, actually, if you're going to make such an inflammatory claim, you need to come forward with evidence to back it up, and you need to do so in 24 hours, and that evidence actually needs to be, because it was in his view, I think it would be fair to say a spurious claim. You need to come up with that evidence very quickly because it's such a damaging thing to say. Obviously, whatever Naomi Wimborne-Idrissi has managed to come up with in the past 24 hours hasn't been good enough. And Lord Mann said that if it wasn't good enough, Keir Starmer would have to throw her off the NEC. Labour has gone further than that tonight and suspended her from the party, and that means she can't attend the NEC, and she's effectively lost her position. It's a blow to the left of the party. She was going to be a standard bearer at this conference coming up this weekend in Liverpool for that particular wing of the party, and those who had obviously raised concerns about her election to the NEC will be quietly relieved, I think, this evening.
Theo, thank you very much. That's Theo Usherwood, LBC's political editor.